How Morgan Le Fay tried to kill King Arthur.
Morgan Le Fay wanted to get revenge on King Arthur for killing her loved one. So Morgan Le Fay travels to an abbey where King Arthur happens to be resting after he went to go fight in battle. So Morgan Le Fay enters and tells the nuns to leave King Arthur alone, her and King Arthur alone, because she wants to get his sword. Obviously she doesn't tell that to the nuns, but that's what she's there for. So she tries to get his sword, Excalibur, but she notices that King Arthur has it in his hands. So instead of getting his sword, she gets her sheath and she runs away with it. And when King Arthur wakes up, he notices that he's missing the sheath, and the nuns told him that Morgan Le Fay, his sister, ran away with it. So he wakes up, he gets one of his knights called Sir Ontzlake, and they go running after Morgan Le Fay. They catch on to her, and Morgan Le Fay notices that they're catching on to her, so they go to the lake, and Morgan Le Fay throws the sheep onto the lake and goes running into the woods. And she turns herself and her men into marble. And when King Arthur goes and tries to find her, he doesn't notice her or her men. So he goes back to Camelot, and when Morgan Le Fay notices, oh, well, he's no longer here, she turns herself and her men back to their original selves and go running back to her kingdom. Well, not literally running back to the kingdom, but she goes back to her kingdom called Gore and fortifies her kingdom because she's scared that King Arthur might come and attack her. So when King Arthur goes back to Camelot, a messenger goes and has a cloak for him. And the Lady of the Lake warns him not to put it on. And King Arthur obviously did as she said, and told the messenger to put the cloak on. And the messenger refuses to put it on, so King Arthur's knights put it on the messenger, and the messenger turns into ashes. And that's when King Arthur gets really, really mad, and that's how.
Created using Powtoon.
Wow, Maria, that's a good summary.
Hey!
But let's go deeper into the story and find the hidden meanings.
Hey.
Did you know that Morgan Le Fay means Morgan the Magician? This represents her ability to use magic and turn herself into marble. And the nuns in the story represent blind obedience to authority, and how the control of power can be hazy and when you have a monarchy. They don't really know who to obey, and they just really obeyed her because she was kind of related to him, but they really shouldn't have, I guess. And the sword, Excalibur, represents his immortality and his power and basically everything he is, because that's what he is. And when she takes the sheath and throws it into the water, she takes the immortality, she takes away the enchantment, and that makes him vulnerable so that she can attack and kill him. And throwing the sheath into the water represents that she wants him to fall, and like a sink, she just wants it to descend and go away. Her kingdom is called Gore, which everyone knows means bloody and violent, and that's what Morgan Le Fay is. And the Lady of the Lake represents a kind of guardian angel because she's always there to offer wisdom and help and give him the tools he needs to survive. And this she did before and she does now.
It sounds like there's a lot of deceit in that. For the theme of the story is deceit. Morgan Le Fay lies to various people. For example, the first deceit is when Morgan Le Fay lies to Queen Guinevere and tells Queen Guinevere that she has bad news and it can't wait, so she has to leave the castle. The second deceit is when Morgan Le Fay goes to where King Arthur is, where he's resting in an abbey, and Morgan Le Fay tells the nuns that she must see him alone. While she's in there, she takes away his sword sheath and runs away. The third deceit is when she fakes her death by turning into marble and making Arthur believe that God had punished her for taking away his sword sheath. The fourth deceit is when Morgan Le Fay sends a messenger to Camelot to give a token of a way of saying I'm sorry to King Arthur by sending him a cloak, but for him to die when he puts it on, so he would turn into ashes. There are 4 symbols in this story. The 4 symbols are very important. The first one is the sword sheath of King Arthur, which represents when it was taken away from him. It represents his immortality and him being vulnerable. The second one is where his sister Morgan Le Fay turns herself into marble, which represents deceit and cowardice because she's afraid of what King Arthur can do. The third one is when the messenger sends the cloak to King Arthur. It represents death because she tried to apologize, but it was just a trap for him to put it on and for him to turn into ashes. The other one is where the guardian angel, which is the Lady of the Lake, warns him about the cloak, and if he put it on, he would die. But isn't there more to this story?
Yes, the motifs. The motif of the story is the sword Excalibur, which is the source of all King Arthur's power. As long as he has the sword and the sheath, nothing can hurt him, nothing can kill him. He has immortality. So when Morgan Le Fay takes the sheath, she basically disarms him and makes him vulnerable to being attacked and killed. And her throwing the sheath into the lake is like such a disgrace on his honor and on his ability. It just weakens him and it shows how much she truly hates him. Is that it?
I think so.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
watching.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.